Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the first hour of this amazing comedy marathon that we are doing to raise money for the brand new diversity scholarship lottery that we're going to be doing at the Pack Theater. Basically, short story is that we are trying to raise money to send 10 students to any class that they choose at the Pack Theater. So students from historically marginalized backgrounds. So in comedy, whether it be by POC, LGBTQIA plus, people who are over 50, people with disabilities, all those people that we want to give access to classes. So first of all, most importantly, it's a fundraiser. So we are accepting donations on Venmo. The Venmo is at Full Ride. So if you are having a good time, you like the show, or you're just like, I don't know, a good person, like donate some money to the fund. Even $1, super awesome. All right, well, let's get started. I'm here with Keisha. So, okay, I just realized that I was going to ask you to say your last name because I thought that it was pronounced differently. It's Zollar?
Okay, how do you say dollar?
Dollar, yeah. So it's Zollar?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
already starting out right. We were talking for like 20 minutes and I still forgot to ask her how to say her last name.
it happens very commonly because it's like I have a mad German last name. Everything's like Zoller. And I always tell people if you struggle, just think Zala Zala Bills, y'all. And you'll never forget.
That is probably like the best name trick that I have heard in a long time. It's
Yeah.
so much cooler than so I'm Ayla. Hi everyone, I'm Ayla Glass. I didn't introduce myself. I'm your host for this hour. I'm also the creator and producer of the Bagency, which you'll see some stuff from later tonight. But because my name's Ayla, it's Ayla. People are always like, "How do I what?" Like people see a Y in the middle of a name and they freak out. So my thing is always like, it's Kayla without the K, but
Yeah.
Dollar
Ayla.
Dollar Bill y'all's is way cooler.
Uh, a friend actually gave me that nickname. Like we were doing form, and she was like Zoller Bills, and I was like, oh, I get it, and it just stuck.
Yes,
So
amazing.
now I
Um,
use it.
Amazing. So, for anybody who doesn't know, Keisha is a writer, comedian, showrunner, and producer. And most recently, what we're so excited to talk about is that she and her team Astronomy Club had a show on Netflix, which is so exciting. So gosh, there's so much that we could talk about, but I guess we'll start off with can you tell us a little bit about your creative journey and how you got into doing sketch comedy? Because I know that you weren't originally doing acting, and then you were pursuing acting exclusively, and then you fell into comedy. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah. So I feel like I've lived like 20 different lives, all of which have gotten me to here. So I'm actually from the Bay Area. I was born there, but I've lived in Chicago, Connecticut, North Carolina, all over. And I actually went to college pre-med biochemistry because I thought I wanted to be a gastroenterologist. I am not. Uh, and uh, in college, like a lot of people, I joined the college improv team and was like, what is that? Give me a taste. Oh, and I got my like quick fix, fell into a theater hole, switched from pre-med biochemistry to theater and communications media, thinking I was going to be an actor and a documentary filmmaker, which I kind of am now a little bit. And after graduating, I decided I wanted more training. So I went to New York and I actually got my MFA in acting from the Actor Studio and pursued acting. But like after I graduated, I realized I was tired of crying for 3 years because like I am an actor. I can actually cry if you give me a minute. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't feel like it. And this is uplifting.
Not that kind of show.
Not right now. Trust me, plenty of crying has been had in 2020. Oh, what is my college improv team called? I have to say, when the script hits the fan, college improv.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I didn't last long, but I kept doing the theater. And so after doing that, after graduating with my MFA, I actually started performing short form improv predominantly for kids. And then a few years after doing that, I started taking classes at UCB. Actually dropped out because I was like one of the only women and the only person of color, and felt very uncomfortable, and did some weird underground improv and sketch in the East Village above a drag restaurant with queens in and out of drag, and a whole bunch of ragtag comedy folks. And after which I came back to UCB, but like the person I am, I feel like I can't be upset about something without doing something. So I became the diversity coordinator at UCB for a few years and worked on restructuring how scholarships were given. And it's hard. I try to explain that. I was like, is my hobby like diversity and inclusion? Is that my hobby? And I come to terms with that, but like only recent, like it's a struggle because it's like, wow, that's bad nerdy and like very bizarre, where I'm like, okay, I'm reading the pedagogy of the press. Let me read some more anti-racist literature. All right, let's talk about systemic oppression. Let's talk about inclusion. Let's talk about pronouns. I was like, yep, this is what I do for fun.
So you're a blast at dinner parties.
I am a blast. And I, did that for a while. I actually came up with Sashir, Zameda, and Nicole Byer. We were in a troupe called Doppelganger together. And then after that, I performed with Astronomy Club. We were the first all Black house team at UCB. And then I, did various web series with Comedy Central, and eventually we got an Astronomy Club Netflix show,
which is so exciting. I guess, yeah. What was the life of Astronomy Club? How has that team and concept developed into where it ended up on Netflix? Like, from you guys all first getting together to doing the Comedy Central digital sketches and then getting Netflix. Can you talk a little bit about, for people who are hoping to achieve kind of the same thing?
Well, I have to say I'm very grateful to James III, who organized a bunch of us. At first there were 9, and this sounds shady, but it's not, because everyone has their own path. Their original 9th person was Akilah Hughes.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she is great. But she went and did her own thing because she's excellent all by herself. And the 8 of us, we practiced for a year and did improv, and then we auditioned to be a house team. Got to be a house team, and then did sketch. We decided to do a Black History sketch show, and from there we started to get recognition. We got a run at UCB with our sketch show. We were Comedy Central's Comics to Watch in 2016, and really our vibe is like family. And I think what makes Astronomy Club special, in my opinion, is everybody is super driven on their own. I talk about this all the time. Everybody in Astronomy Club is somebody to watch individually, which is why together I think we have something special. And we still message each other more than weekly. Like we still keep in touch, even though some people are in New York, some people are in the Northeast, some people are out here. And like the thing that's special is we all keep going and we all are excited for each other as everybody attains excellence. And so it's like our journey was, we just kept doing it. Like we kept pounding the pavement, and like first there was one goalpost, and then we made another goalpost and another goalpost and another goalpost. And I think keeping that momentum and holding ourselves accountable for what we want and what being better looks like, but also knowing what makes us special. Because like the thing that we like about ourselves, we're a little goofy. We know that we have like a goofy lean to us, and that's just authentic to who we are. And like I remember when we first started meeting and like talking about what we wanted out of this group and what we wanted to do, we really talked about how diverse we were within 8 folks. And we're 8 Black people, but you know, some people are multiracial. Well, there's an argument, all of us are multiracial. Not all of us are by POC, right? We come from a multitude of backgrounds, but we all identify as Black. And that really for us was a conversation, that plus our love of comedy. And we're all very passionate about comedy, is I think what makes us special. And what I love is that like we're all so different, but we all celebrate similar experiences and moving through the world.
Yeah, and that's actually what really resonated for me with the show, is that I could tell that all of you guys are so different and you come from different backgrounds. And what I love about Astronomy Club is that it really shows everyone that like Black people are not a monolith. Like there's so many different experiences, so many ways of expressing yourself. And I love that uniqueness of vision that you guys bring to it. Was it ever difficult having a team that is, a lot of people consider 8 people to be like a pretty large like team, especially when you're going into like the professional space? You know, most of the time we see comedy duos or maybe trios. Was that ever a challenge for you guys as you kind of progressed?
Oh, of course. You have 8 people. You have 8 Black people with egos, good egos, because we've gotten this far in life. But it's about the work, right? And that's why I talk about there's a sense of family there, because it's like, even when it's hard, there's still the love there. And, you know, it's about how do we celebrate everybody's different point of view, because not everybody has the same comedic rhythm. That my comedic rhythm is different from 7 other people, and it's true with everyone else. And some people maybe more so, less so. At the end of the day, for us, it was really just about how do we bring it all to the table and make sure everybody feels included. And it's something we've always tried to do and continue to do as we work together.
That's awesome. In the chat, Fernand Dukes 29 was wondering, was it hard to find each other? Did you guys connect quickly, or did it take some time to find each other? I guess I kind of also was wondering that, as far as, you know, you said you went to UCB and then you kind of felt like, you know, a fish out of water, you're the only one. So when you came back, you know, maybe like, why did you decide to dive back in? Like, how did you, all find each other?
It's so funny because we were all performing in different capacity or different groups. So I think I had a run at that time, or was finishing up a run. Like Sashir and Nicole had just moved to LA and I was still in New York. And I had another improv team called Nobody's Token, where we'd do an improvised sitcom. And Ray, James, Jonathan Braylock, and Monique were all on that team. And so there was already like kind of some of us. And then there were some other folks who were on that team-ish. Some moved away, some got too busy. And then James came up with a crazy idea of like wanting to have a bunch of Black people on a team, like a traditional Herald team. And then we started practicing. We were like, yeah, let's do that. So I feel like we were all aware of each other. Even like some people, like I didn't know Caroline Martin, but I knew of her because it's like you peep all the faces where you're just like, ooh, I know you. I don't know you, but I know you. And so I think it was just like when we came together, it was like, who else do you know? And like we made a list of all the Black people we were excited to work with, and reached out to a bunch. And, you know, this is kind of where we fell. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, everyone on that list is awesome. And you've probably heard their names. So we made a real good list of folks.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that basically you guys have been the same 8 people this entire time. It's so amazing that you guys have been able to work together for so long. I guess for people who are interested in, well, I guess I'll back up and say I think it's really exciting right now that the world seems to have kind of like a re-energized interest in sketch comedy. And so I was wondering about what was the process of like pitching a sketch show? Did you pitch to like a lot of places, or were you kind of like someone saw your stuff and was like, hey, we're Netflix, we want to put you guys on Netflix? How did that kind of all work?
So I always, in retrospect, there are a lot of small steps. There's the like cute Hollywood version of like, oh, we just like walked into King and Barris's office and then it was go. No. It was 2016 Comics to Watch. We did a web series with Comedy Central that took about 2 years, where we got about a half hour of sketches that were well produced, that we felt really good about. And then from there, we took that out and pitched it around. We pitched it to Comedy Central and a few other networks. And in that process, this is where it's like, I always say, it's like, you never know who's in your circle. You never know who's excited for you. I was directing for a friend's live sketch show, Ex Mayo, and she had Jonathan Braylock's now wife in the sketch show, Tessa Hirsch. And in the audience was one of Kenya Barris's development people who happened to go to college with Jonathan Braylock. And turns out went to summer camp with Caroline Martin. It's a Jersey thing. I am not from Jersey. Anyway, she ran into John and was like, oh, congratulations on your digital series. Where's it set up? And, you know, it hadn't been set up. And she was like, really? You want to come pitch it to us? And we did. And it was magic because Kenya told us he wanted to attach right away. At that point, we had Irony Point, Dan Powell, Amy Schumer, I Think You Should Leave, attached as well. And he actually ran the show. So we had a lot of like voices behind us to take to Netflix and be like, give us a show. And it's so hard in this industry because I don't love saying it's all about who you know, but it is about who's standing behind you sometimes. And we were very fortunate to have some really amazing, talented folks like with us as we pitched. And that I think absolutely helped get us on the show. Like get us on Netflix.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I say that? Yeah, there it is.
I mean, that's so great. And that you guys were able to, I assume, basically maintain creative control over it. Like, were you able to, did you have a lot of like outside influence, or were they kind of just like, we like what you did, like keep doing it?
I mean, there was some like guidance, and like we were given some things to think about like what it is to be Black in comedy in America. And it's that thing of like, it's just different expectations, right? Everybody's always comparing because, and Jonathan Braylock's actually said this a bunch, that like, I think more people need choice in comedy, that, you know, it can't be a Black show, you're welcome. It can't be Black Lady Sketch Show, Astronomy Club, or Sherman Showcase, or no. I want it all, because I believe people deserve choice in comedy, and that there isn't a monolith, right? There should be a multitude of queer voices doing comedy, not one. That I don't believe in tokenizing any group of people, and I believe we have to uplift and create as many options, many more options for marginalized folks. And I saw a question of like, what is the future of comedy, from Florida Man Gamer.
Yeah.
And I think the future of comedy is going to be a lot more different voices, period. And, it used to be the thing I hated, and I still hate hearing it, funny is funny, because I call BS, because funny is relative, it's personal. There are people who think Hannah Gadsby is the funniest person on earth, and there are people who don't. There are people who ride or die for Bill Burr and people who don't. Same with Chappelle. Same with Monique. Same, like, insert. And I was like, here's the reality. I wish people would chill and realize nobody's going to love everybody. So funny is not funny. It's not universal. It's taste and preference. And I think what you're going to see is, as people get more access to comedy and getting their shows made, you're going to see different voices be celebrated for different reasons. And people who are more quote unquote traditional of their comedy, where they want it broad and to appeal for everyone, might be mad or upset, because it's like, why isn't everything for me all the time? Because it has been, and we're tired of it. Some of it's corny as hell, and we're done. So I think you're going to see a lot more authentic voices, hopefully. I can't say that for sure, but that's my hope.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Because I totally agree. I feel like it's always been frustrating, and I think we're getting a little bit closer, but it's like, if it's black comedy, it has to be like Def Comedy Jam, or if it's like, you know, Latinx comedy, it has to be about like all Latino issues, like insert. And it's like, no, it's like, how come, white people, quote unquote, they get like, they get everything, but like, people of color, people from different backgrounds, it's like, it has to be the most extreme stereotypical like version of like whatever it is.
That's why I'm obsessed in the weirdest of ways. I guess it's not that weird. Other people are upset. Eric Andre, I just find fascinating because he's so weird, and like, especially his Adult Swim stuff, I crave it, because I love seeing that style of humor, because that style of humor is traditionally reserved for like predominantly white dudes in comedy. A lot of people like that. I always talk about like, where are the stoner flicks that are centering Black women? Like, where are the stoner, stupid, that just center Black women, and you have a lot of the same tropes, goofs. I want that. Like, and as corny as it sounds, that's why Harold and Kumar did so well when it first came out, because it was the same stories we've seen, just new faces, fresh voices, and it's fun.
Yeah. Um, so I know that you have also been doing some directing. were you guys directing yourselves on Astronomy Club? And so like, what was kind of your process when you are directing sketches or comedy?
Yeah, so some people directed Jira, directed some of the sketches, and a lot of us were producing, but also direct more and more. And so my process is, it's interesting because if I'm directing live sketch, it's different. I also forget what that feels like. I miss the stage. I can't tell you how much, like, I miss the energy of live theater, and it like hurts. And then directing film, I feel like I'm still learning, but it's about performance. It's about, I directed something recently, totally virtually, so to keep it COVID safe. And it was really interesting to rack my brain around, like, well, how do I make a space feel small, even though we're in two different locations? And these are the things I'm constantly thinking about, of like, my husband and I, we shot a sketch with someone who was in New York, and talking through angles about like, how do we shoot it so it's easy to cut together, even though we're thousands of miles apart. So it's, for me, it's about like, where's the joke? How can we make it feel intimate, especially during these weird times? And how can we play to what is working? Because I always say, it's like, I love doing a hard thing as a director, as an actor, when there's time to practice and get it cute and perfect, because I'm a Virgo and I'm a perfectionist, and I always have notes for myself and other people. My husband hates it sometimes, but I have a lot of thoughts and opinions that I cannot control. So my perfectionist in me is like, find the things you can do really well and do those well, and then try to be as good as possible with the other things, and try to reduce all the unknowns.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm glad that you said you were a Virgo because I'm also a Virgo and I like sense that Virgo energy from you. So
I
I knew that we
married
were
a
like,
Virgo. I married a Virgo. I love a Virgo. Also, fun fact, all the women in Astronomy Club were all Virgos.
that's like astrology tangent. That's like Virgos are the one astrology sign that like just freaking love other like Virgos love other Virgos and just like are obsessed with being around all my female friends from college were all Virgos also.
And, and there's something to say, there's a big Virgo energy. like, like it's like, well, we have to get a thing done. We're getting it done.
Yes, and like I sense that from you, especially, just in kind of what you were talking about, with how, when you went back to UCB, you're like, okay, there wasn't a space for you before. So now not only am I going to go back, but I'm going to make sure that I'm bringing everyone else with me. And I love that. I don't know exactly. I'm trying to like formulate the question, but, so often as, you know, Black people, people of color, like we have to, make our own spaces, and kind of find our own way, especially in comedy, which has, especially like mainstream comedy, it's been so white. I don't know. I guess, do you have any advice for people on how to like navigate, how to not burn out, how to, just continue to be true to yourself when you might be in a space with all white people and they're like, I don't get it.
I think there's an interesting balance between like listening to folks but knowing what your true north is. And I think, if you can find enough contemplation and connection to yourself so you know what your true north is, so when you walk into a room and somebody says everything you are is wrong, you can go, no thank you, and bat it away. I think that has to, like, you have to find that for yourself. And it's so hard to get to it because some people are so removed from that. They've questioned why they're funny, what makes them funny. Are they enough? Is this just not right for them? And I think once you tap into what that is for you and understand that no one can take that away, and like power forward with that jewel, it's almost like an armor of steel, where it's like, take feedback. Yes, I believe in feedback. However, I also know what makes me special. I know what I want to accomplish in the world. I know that I really am passionate about raising up people's voices, that I'm really passionate about supporting artists as much as I can. It's one of the reasons I truly, in my heart of hearts, I love teaching. And I truly don't do it for the money. Like, money helps me show up, but I do it because the excitement of seeing people touch their authentic comedy voice. And everybody, I believe, can find their authentic comedy voice if you're willing to invest, be vulnerable, and allow yourself to be surprised. Like, one of the things I had to come to terms with, it was kind of like the fact that my interests are around diversity, inclusion, equity, was coming to terms with that my comedy is more political, and I like goofy dumb things, and that I like the high low stuff, that I like a smart thing done in a dumb way. I love dumb things done in a smart way. And that's just a part of my comedic style and brand, and that I lean more specific. I'm not as broad as some people. And if your humor is broad, I don't be ashamed of it. If you're humor specific, don't be ashamed of it. Your humor is what you are, and you just have to embrace it. And that's scary because people want to judge it, because some people who love specific humor look at a broad comedian and go, eh. And I go, oh, well, that's not what I mess with, but I'm so happy you exist. Like, I think one of the most damaging things people do is assume that just because something's not for them, it's bad. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a way to like talk about a thing and be like, oh, it's not bad, it's just not for me. And yeah, I guess that's a long way to say that, like, that's what's really important to me, is that people find what that is for them, because I'm not here to judge if it's good or bad. I just know the spark of when people find it for themselves. And that spark, I want to empower it, because if you can hold on to it, you have power in the creative force, because you can walk into any general or any meeting and know, okay, those people aren't for me. It's not just I need them. It's, are they for me? Because it's like a bad relationship. They can be hot, they can be rich, they can have all the things. And if they treat you bad and make you feel small, get out. It's not worth your life. It's not worth your time, because you can't get it back. And that's why I really want people to find that, hold on to it, write it down, remind yourself of it, and go into the world and get better craft, work on your connections, do all the other stuff to get to it.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to get caught up in it. Like you were saying, is like if you're going into a meeting and just feeling like you need their approval, and like, in a sense, like, okay, sure, you want them to make the thing, but also you have to hold on to the fact that you know what you have to say has value. And just because someone doesn't see it right away doesn't mean that, you know, it's any less valuable.
And something clicked when I started to go into meetings and think, well, do I like you? Not, oh, I hope they like me. It's like, do I like you? Because if I don't like you, this is a nightmare.
Yeah, you know, because it does, it goes both ways. And I think, especially starting out, you know, at least I even found that with starting out first. I've been doing this out in LA for about 7 years now. Is, yeah, at first you're like, somebody please like me, pick me. And you're like, well, I don't know. It's like, I want to work with people who want to work with me. You know, it's like, I want someone to be excited about me, you know. And I think, you know, we have to all hold on to, yeah, like you were saying, like what, you know, we're passionate about and what makes us special, and just knowing that it's about finding the right, you know, fit to tell our story, or whatever it might be. Um, we'll pivot a little bit to talk about writing a bit. So you're talking about that you found that you have more of like a political slant to your comedy. Is that your favorite type of sketch or your comedy to write, or do you love doing characters? Do you love what's kind of like excites you?
Oh, I'm so bad at that question because it's everything. Like I am truly, my husband gets mad at me because I get excited by a lot, and it has to feel specific and subversive. If there's nothing subversive to a sketch, or like subversive or weird, then I typically am like, not me. But I love subverting expectations. It's the part of me when I first started improvising. I'm not telling anybody to do this, but I would do this if like people would put me in positions I really didn't feel comfortable with, where it's like they'd marginalize me in scene or oppress me. I would subvert it by going so hard that they were uncomfortable, because there's a part of me who is like, oh, discomfort can be funny.
Oh my gosh, what's the time that you feel like you made someone the most uncomfortable for like a joke?
Oh, we were doing something, somebody labeled me a slave, and I went so hard. Like whatever they thought a slave was, I took it further to pure discomfort for them. Because I intentionally twisted the knife for them. And this was when I was young and like rageful. And it's like, and I didn't do anything to demean myself, but I did do everything to make them as uncomfortable as possible, and talk about systemic oppression and all the weight that comes with talking about slavery. And
I
I
love
was like,
that in the middle of a comedy, like I'm guessing an improv set, you were like, all right, let's do this.
yeah, I was like, no, I've done that before, where it was actually on Herald Night at UCB, where there was a scene where we were talking about, it was the second beat in a Herald, and it was around like identity and purity. I don't remember the game exactly. And it kind of came down to my scene partner in the scene asked me, they're like, well, how do you even know you're part white? And this happened in the scene. And I was like, well, I got to play to the top of my black ass intelligence. And I closed the improv door and I was like, you see, slave masters sexually assaulted black women. And the air for most of the white people left the audience, but I heard one black person go, yeah, girl. I did it for you. Because part of me is like, I can't deny who I am. I can't deny that the world is complicated, and it's easier to do comedic narratives for other people and the white gaze. I'll be honest, I don't care. Like, I'm not mad at white folks. I am married to a white person. So clearly, my view of the world is like complicated and dynamic, but I can't help but be everything I am. And like, that also means somebody who reads a lot about oppression. And that hobby slips out. And so when people act up, I was like, ooh, I'm going to say it. So yeah, I like talking about unexpected pieces of characters' identity, or weird things, or ways we don't see people.
Mm-hmm. So you've written on two different late night style shows. I don't know exactly how you would want to classify them, but it goes towards your, political, socially conscious, like comedic voice. Do you have Well, first of all, what was that experience like? Was it what you expected it to be like? Was there anything that surprised you about it?
Oh, late night's so hard. No one tells you how hard it is. I love every late night writer because it's hard. Yeah. Did I lose?
Oh, I'm back, I think. Hello?
Yay.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, it froze for a second.
But late night is hard in the sense that it really is a job. You are churning out jokes, and to change your brain from like when I was first starting out comedy writing, it was like a fun thing. And the moment it becomes a job, you really fall back on technique to get it done. And learning how to like construct a joke was so valuable. And learning how to construct a joke without being precious in minutes is a different skill. So I have a lot of friends who are in late night, and I respect so much people who are in that hustle in that game, and I still enjoy it. I still enjoy it as a fan. I think there's so many great shows, but yeah, it's it's a different part of your brain you're exercising every day.
Yeah, I can imagine. Was it hard writing on a show like The Opposition during the Trump era and having to be that plugged in to the news and current events all the time?
Yes, it was so hard because oh wow, this isn't funny, but it's true. Like, oh, it's like being inside so much. I was like, oh, I forgot all the fear I contained about mass shootings. Um, which were very like one of the largest mass shootings in US history happened during our run.
Mm.
It's very hard to navigate comedy and frustration and hurt. And so that was really challenging and staying plugged in. On the flip side, one of my best days was when Alex Jones like called out a piece I had written with one of my colleagues, Kristen, and we wrote this piece, and it was just like so healing that Alex Jones was upset because of words we wrote, and it bothered him. And
uh,
the joy of bothering someone who doesn't respect my humanity or a lot of people's humanity. And what this piece was about was crisis actors, and specifically talking about the Newtown kids, talking about other crisis actors and mass shootings, basically invalidating people's experience through immeasurable grief that I do not wish upon my worst enemy, that I think is disgusting. So to get under his skin after he's traumatized, ooh, it feels good. Like that's the flip side of it. Like, ooh, pissing off Alex Jones with my words. That was delicious.
that that's amazing. That definitely sounds like, I mean, I can't even imagine how exciting.
That because that was the first time I was like, we bothered him. We bothered him, and it helped get him kicked off of YouTube because he kept saying more and more inflammatory stuff. Got back, but that helped push him to be more inflammatory. And we weren't doing anything other than calling out his trite bullshit.
Hmm. So late nights are traditionally like a pretty white male space. I know. What was the writers' room makeup on both the shows? So for people who don't know, you were on The Opposition with Jordan Klepper, and then also Busy Tonight with Busy Phillips, which seemed like such a fun show. So were the writers' rooms like fairly diverse, or were they still kind of more skewing towards this traditional room?
The opposition had a lot of traditional elements. All of the men on it were white men, but there were half of us who were women. To me and another Black woman, Pia Glenn. We were the writers, and then Busy was actually the anti late night of it all women, more than half queer, and yeah, it was very uh, diverse. Like one of the things people didn't get to necessarily see about the show is it was one of the most diverse TV experiences I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, that's amazing. It was, yeah, it was so fun. I think like people, this is a little bit of a tangent. We do have to wrap up soon. But I feel like people, if like so many people have tried to do like the anti late night show, like Busy did it, like Michelle Wolf was trying to do it. And like I feel like, people just, if it doesn't fit in like that box of what they think late night is, they're like, I don't know what to do with this. And they're just like, I don't know. They just don't buy in. I don't know why. Because both those shows are so fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just saw the question in that improv scene. Who made me a slave in the scene? Was it a white dude? You know it was. You know it
I saw
was.
the question in the chat. I was like, we all know.
Like, it was. And here's the thing. It was someone who had been rude to me in class too. It wasn't like just one thing. They always would minimize me in scenes. And like, that was just like, I went off. I was like, oh, you're going to like dehumanize me? I'm going to make you feel bad on stage. I want you to feel terrible about yourself. And I'm not usually that petty, but it's that thing of like, when I feel marginalized, I was like, well, and I try not to do that because I'm trying to be more supportive now. But at the time, it was petty o'clock. And
sometimes it just feels good to be a little petty and just, makes you feel a little like warm and fuzzy in the middle of your chest there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask one more question, but I just wanted to remind everybody as we're wrapping up to donate to the Venmo at Full Ride. We want to kick off the night strong, and so just to, oh my gosh, this is exciting. Rachel just said that we have raised $220 already.
Woo! More, please.
More, please. So one class is $320. I think $320. So we need $100 more, guys. $100 more for one sketch class.
I'll even say this. All right, we make it to 320 by the time I'm out of here. I will match it.
Oh.
If we get it to 320, I will match it.
Guys, come on.
By the time we're done talking.
Okay, so we'll hope
you better text a friend.
Yeah.
A little more.
Let's hope that she talks for a long time in this next question. So,
ooh,
all right.
Ooh. Rachel, just put that Venmo number. I will do it. I got Venmo in my bank account. So
so it's where's all the rich people at? All right. So as like someone who like has more of like a political slant to the comedy that you like to do, and just as a Black woman in America right now, how do you find, this is like a warm fuzzy question, how do you find joy like on a daily basis, and like what kind of things do you do for like self-care?
Joy. So I'm a home improvement junkie. I love design. And that sounds so not funny because it isn't, but like I like love real estate, which sounds again not fun or funny, but it's nice. I also love taking a bath. I cannot express how much just a nice bath. Like when COVID first started, I like went to go get bubble bath, but I had to go to like 2 or 3 stores because everyone else had the same idea that like self-care meant getting in a tub of water and lathering yourself up and like maybe lighting a candle. Also watching goofy comedy. I like watching animation a lot. Like I work in animation quite often, but I also really enjoy animation. Like I watch She-Ra. That fed my soul. Girls can be princesses and beautiful and tough and kick butt. I watch things that make me happy. I try to get the blood going, because I sit a lot because of work. Yeah, and sleep. I try to sleep like an appropriate amount. I try to sleep an appropriate amount. And then I was like, what else do I do? Oh, yeah. Oh, and my dogs. I love my dogs. I have 2 dogs. Oh my gosh, we're at 360. Well,
360.
I guess I got to match 360.
Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much. It was so amazing. Like thank you. What a great start to the night. I guess I'll just, we got to wrap it up. So the whole night.
Let me know when it goes through, because I love Venmo, so we can see.
All right.
Um,
Venmo wizards, let us know. I guess just like to wrap up, because we don't want the night to run too late. Do you have any, words of wisdom, advice that you'd like to impart onto the viewers for this evening? Just to wrap it up, any final thoughts?
Hope can be small. It's very hard right now, but I think small joys, small amounts of hope are okay. And that, like, I truly want people to take care of themselves. And even when I always say, it's like, sometimes I might come off cold or delayed in my responses or whatever, but I truly, like, remember, we're all humans doing our best. And I hope that you try to do your best and be kind to yourself. Damn it. Everybody, just like go out and be kind to yourself and to others. Like, kindness starts with you. Because it's very easy to coulda, woulda, shoulda about what you should have done. And it's hard right now. So, be your best. Your
Venmo went through, girl. Yes. Oh my God.
I guess I had to match it. So thank you. I hope that this is meaningful to some people out there, and they get to have like a good time learning some comedy shit.
Yes. I mean, it was so great talking to you. I feel like we could probably chat for hours, but unfortunately, we gotta keep the night moving. Everybody, I don't know if they put it in the chat, but we're starting the night out at $839 thanks to you and the beautiful Keisha. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining us and doing this and answering everybody's questions. And yeah, we hope to see you soon. Everybody stay tuned for the student showcase hosted by John Milheiser. It's going to be real fun because he's very funny, and I'm sure we're going to have some very funny students. Okay, bye.
Bye.